Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Real Influencers Project. Recently, I had the chance to sit down and speak with Dr. Jason Richardson. At one point in his amateur BMX career, he was regarded as one of the fastest amateurs out there. And then when he turned pro, he became world champion as well as Pan Am gold medalist. Upon his retirement, he has used his education and experience to help others make transitions in their lives as well. That is just one of the many things we spoke about in this interview. Enjoy. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Real Influencers Project. I'm your host, Craig Reynolds, with my special guest, Dr. Jason Richardson. How are you today, sir?
Good. Craig, why are you introducing me like we haven't known each other for 30 plus years?
Well, because other people might not know you. So I want
No, but you know me, man. Okay, fair enough. I appreciate it. Craig?
Right. I'm going to keep this
so professional.
I want to keep it as uniform as possible because
I appreciate that.
This is so much fun to do this. And you're right. It's been 30 years.
Or so.
Easily. Oh, yeah. I would say give or take, maybe even more than that if you really want to get down to it. But I love the fact that as well as I know you, there's still things that I don't know that trigger you or push your buttons. And, you know, this day and age when people are looking at influencers, they're looking online and thinking that they're, you know, not being sold, which is fine. It's part of where we are in history right now. But people's influences come off of social media. When they see someone's Adidas shoes and they're like, I got to have those. That's my influence. Mm-hmm. I would argue that people more are looking at the lifestyle and think that's the lifestyle I want to live. So I'm going to buy those shoes because that's the lifestyle I want. Whereas, you know, back in the day, you would influence me by, you know, giving me a tip on a jump or the gate, or my neighbor helps me out with, hey man, you know what has who's got a better lawnmower? Husqvarna, you know, something that actually touches you, right? And I love that. And I love those stories behind people or behind what they are doing and where they are now. And I didn't even realize that you were going to school to become a doctor. As long as I knew you, I knew you were going to school, but I didn't know you were going down the psychology path to be a doctor.
Well, I didn't know that either.
Even better.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. I was racing BMX professionally, 93 to 2008. That's a long tenure for any professional athlete, no doubt. I suppose, unless you're golf. Yes. But
yeah, we should have bought golf clubs, dude.
Yeah, I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much, but I probably should have ran track. Or swam. For me, the bike was actually the limiting factor. Yeah, running was
If I could go back, dude, I would have grabbed.
What would your event be?
100.
Yeah, I would have gone 2.
Really?
Yeah, because the start doesn't matter as much in the 2. And or possibly even the 4.
See, to me, that was long. I got recruited to run track.
Because 100 is like too short for me.
See, I love that. I
had the long pull.
See, yes, I can see you've got long legs.
Yeah.
When you and I ran, we had that sprint contest.
Yeah.
You, in the history of all of my parking lot sprint sessions that I picked up with people, you're the only person to ever beat me. Ever. And I tell people all the time, I'm like, I was, 100-0, and then I raced you, and I was, okay, I picked up a loss. But I love track and field, dude. I love that. I love running that fast, as quick as you could. It was like you're floating, like you're barely touching the grade. Like, this is the best feel ever.
Yeah, it is a good feeling. My son is like that too. But
I love that. Fast, twitchy.
Yeah. But when I was in school, so I was like the racer in school.
Yes.
So undergrad my major was philosophy. All the philosophy companies were hiring back then.
Right.
And then I took a year off and continued the race. And then I went back and got my master's in business. And then when I broke my leg in 2006, on my way back, because I broke my leg in February 2006, was able to come back and race again, which was amazing. And I'm super grateful for that. But on the way back from that event, one of the races, I happened to be sitting next to a couple. and they were psychologists, basically, coming back from like a convention or conference, and they just got to talking, and I still had like a year left on my contract with Haro at the time, and I'd already gotten my master's in business, so I already knew what it was like to get a higher level degree and race. And I just asked about the timeline, and I looked at the business model of psychology, and at least what I knew about it. And I said, there's no one better than me to like become a sports psychologist and plug myself not only back into bicycle racing, but how many professional athletes become sports psychologists, right? So that was the other thing, because when I was working with a sports psychologist, and he was great. I mean, he was athletic, but he couldn't say he was a world champion or traveled the world and
Pacific champion. You got gold medals in multiple different things. I mean, you've got to have an intimate knowledge of that field to line it up, right? On that level, on that.
Yeah, I mean, everything just kind of worked out. It was like, having this sport background, and then this business degree, and then in sports, especially in an action sport, lifestyle sport like bicycle racing, BMX, it's heavily weighted on the marketing side and the image side. So that blend allowed me to really speak the perfect language for not only just athletes, but going in there and talking to groups or talking to businesses. So I could speak business, I could speak sport, I could speak competition, I could speak psychology. So all these kind of things kind of lined up very well. And yeah, I mean, I'm proud to say I'm the perfect person to work with someone who's either transitioning in their life, or looking to go to the next level, or racing. And I say racing anything or competing at a high level. There's very few people.
When you got to that point, and I was already 2 years retired when you got injured. I didn't even know you broke your leg. I heard about it, and I was like, wait, what? Really?
Yeah.
Was the influence that you were nearing the end of your sport and you were end of your career, and you're like, you know what, I need to go, and I still want to be a factor?
No. So when I broke my leg, I was 32. And even that whole time, and so like the last, probably when I was 30, it was interesting when I was 20. So I got married at 27, and then probably from 27 to about 32, I mean, my strength, my results, my everything just went, whoa. I don't know what happened. I kind of know what happened, but that's like a whole nother podcast. But the bottom line is I became better, and I became stronger, and I did better. And it had a lot to do with just my development as an athlete physically. And I think it had a lot to do with just where I was as a person, personally. So when you break your leg at 32, it's kind of like, okay, well, he's had a good run. Let's call it, and I was thinking that at first, but what happened was, when you get home and things are quiet and you're just sitting there broken, basically, and wanting to walk, walk up the stairs, right? Yeah. Wanting to not use a crutch. It just wasn't, I shouldn't say not that motivating. I wasn't as inspired to, start a construction business, which I could have done and was looking into. I wasn't as inspired to open a franchise.
Following your dad's footsteps, right?
Yeah.
That would have been easy.
Yeah, and I liked development, and I like real estate and all that stuff, but I wasn't doing it, right?
Right.
And it wasn't because of, for whatever reason, it wasn't happening, right? Because usually if I'm really keyed in on something, I kind of just like start marching to it. And I wasn't marching to it, even though I could do it.
Gotcha.
I went pretty close with franchises. I mean, I almost opened a tanning salon. It's ironic, right? the most naturally tan dude out there is like, hey, come to my tanning salon. Anyways.
You can look like this.
Yes, yes. Pulled back out of that. And the bottom line was I wasn't finished yet, right? I didn't want that injury to take me out of racing. Right. Now, so my point was like, let's get healed up so I can race again. And then if it's different or if I'm not able to do it, then I can let it go. But I'm not going to just like be taken out by this.
You want to go on your own terms, right?
Correct.
Your own terms it's important for a lot of people. That's like closure, right?
Yeah, it's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and to me, it helped me heal faster. Like the purpose and the intention of racing again made it not easier, but made it, made my ability and my willingness to get better, heal that leg up and get my strength back, and not only just walk, but run and pedal and sprint and lift and all this other stuff, that made it better. So that was the deal. And then, lo and behold, I squeezed another, 2 years out of it. And the last year in 2008, so I won the Pan Am Games in 2007, but in 2008, I was kind of running on fumes. So I was kind of the last 2 or 3 years, even pre-injury, it was going into each season like, okay, this might be my last, just because of where I was with age and
sure,
whatever. But it was cool though, because after I broke my leg, I decided to go back to school. So that gave me at least somewhat of a timeline professionally. And then I said, okay, well, so 7, I was back in, so broke my leg in 6. 7, I started school toward my doctorate. That was a 3.5 yearish process, but I knew that I'd be able to intern once I had a certain amount of school credits, which means, okay, well, at that point I could possibly bring in some pennies and sandwich money outside of racing. And so 2008, I was running on fumes, which is crazy because like it was inconsistent. I still ended up finishing number 3, which was like awesome.
Yeah, no kidding.
But still, it wasn't like I was just like, okay, yeah, top 3 every race, making every main event. It was like I fought for that number 3, like at the end of the year.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Anyways, and then the last race of the season, ABA Grands in November, I was looking, like just before that, I was looking for internships, and as a psychologist. And then I came across this job posting for a marketing company, and it looked like a really cool, hip marketing company, and they do social, big, like anti-smoking campaigns, big, like they do behavioral changes. So like they're the people that work with a lot of governments and a lot of school systems and a lot of nonprofits to do these big public health initiatives and stuff like that. Okay. I was like, let me just fill this application out just cause. And I'm just like filling it out, just being me, just answering like just not in interview mode at all, just like Anyways, and then they called me in for an interview.
Of course they did.
Yeah. And then I remember being on the gate at the ABA Grands, like second moto, just thinking, I think I'm going to get that job.
Right.
Like literally, that's pretty much what I said before I raced.
Right.
Like on the gate, like
not the ideal.
No, but I said I think I'm going to get the job. And then sure enough, I did. So I literally I got the job offer like that December. And then I was on a plane flying to Chicago to like go to work for this marketing company as a brand manager.
Right.
It was crazy, like literally like Chicago City School District meeting. And I'm like a brand manager.
Right.
Like, so I was like professional athlete, brand manager. And then I worked there for 6 months and then boom, I found an internship as a therapist. And then started getting my hours, and then became, I was doctored in 2010 and then licensed a year later. And then, at the Olympics in 2012, working with athletes.
So let's go back a bit. You said the last couple of years were very strong for you just because of where you were mentally, physically, emotionally. Mm-hmm. Did you think at that stage, I can help someone get to this point quicker with what I know now? And was that part of the reason why you wanted to go into sports psychology?
Yeah. So I had worked with a sports psychologist, right? Off and on for like a lot of my career, probably like 97 through 2000, through the end, off and on.
Yeah.
And truth be told, some of it was like working through how to perform better, and some of it was working through like me becoming a better person and just growing the heck up, right? Which is like dealing with my own stuff, So when I decided to go back to school, there was this whole piece of sports psych, and I didn't know at the time, but I just felt like, aside from the business model of psychology, I just felt like there's this huge piece of what do you do like after you're finished, whatever it is you're finished, right? Because the statistics, regardless of how much money you make or don't make, but the statistics with people who do make money is they end up broke in 3 years, right? Or depressed, or both. The transition from everyone telling you yes and you're awesome to nobody knows who you are or cares who you are, like those are big life transitions, right? And then two, which was really interesting, is I was able to speak to people like professionals dealing with retirement. Like I was able to speak to the 60-year-old person who was being, phased out of his company. Because guess what? I felt that at 30.
Right.
When the third biggest bike company drops you from payroll and you're looking for a sponsor and there's none left, and then you are one of the oldest guys there. It's like, oh, I've been here before, right? So that window of professional athletics for me, I always say this, so in psychology, there's what's called, lifespan, developmental psychology, and you go through these stages in life, right? From birth to death.
Sure.
As a professional athlete, it's a microcosm of those same stages. You go through those same stages, right? So birth, oh my gosh, Craig Reynolds, he's great. He's the greatest thing since sliced bread. We love him. To death, which is like, who's he?
Who?
Exactly.
I'm sorry, we don't have a pro deal. You can't buy a bike from us.
Exactly. Okay. You can go to the bike shop and pay full retail. Exactly. So, but that messes with you, right? Because you become us. We tend to identify with what we do, right?
Absolutely.
We tend to identify with our profession. We tend to identify with how we make our wares in the world. And so when that's gone, or even worse, stripped away, or even triply worse, you ain't prepared for that. Like really, like you might intellectually know it's coming, but you're not really ready for it.
Right.
That's where I step in. That is a place I step in. So when I work with people, specifically athletes, like I have one athlete, we started working with her just before she graduated high school. She's already graduated college. She already graduated college, and if the Olympics happen, she's going. But the cool part is like, yes, let's perform, let's kick butt at these events, which happens. Let's deal with all that stuff. But the other cool part is like, hey, what are you doing with that money you're making?
Right.
You should think about buying some property.
Yeah.
You should probably look at what a 401k is about and, take a certain percentage of that and just put it away for later. Oh, you ride for this company? They have a history of doing licensing deals and signature products. And I know that they sell in not just in bike shops, but in bigger stores. If you actually got your name on one of those products, they probably wouldn't even have to pay you a salary. You could probably just make money on the residuals. So it's all those little things, right? And that's where it's like the marketing and the business and so all that stuff comes into place. And not only that, like, oh, by the way, you don't need any of it, because guess what? You have a legit college degree. You can actually knock on a door and get a job, right? So it's like she's such a weapon.
Right.
Like in the best way, though. In the best way.
Absolutely.
She's such a weapon to like anywhere she turns, she's like capable, she's ready, has the work ethic, mindset, you know what I mean? And there's no lose, right? So when I work with people, I love getting in there and saying like, okay, how can we play this game so that you can keep playing the game, right? Because after sports is done, I mean, there's this bigger, there's this game of life. I say in my book, like, welcome to the game of life. Let's plan on winning it, right?
Right.
And the beauty is figuring out how you do that, and you get to pick what the wins are.
Would you ever chat with them and say, the game of life is also a competition, and you can apply that same sense of drive and focus that you had as the athlete to the rest of your existence, because it's a big world out there and it's a big life.
So I mean, for me, it's like, my personal experience when I, having literally retrained myself to become a psychologist, that was my effort was in, okay, world champion BMX guy, top pro. All right, what is there's no such thing as a psychologist world champion, but if there is one, I want to be in contention for that. Right. So that I approached getting the degree and licensed and, getting kind of set up in the same way. So, I mean, not that I was in competition with the other people in my class or other psychologists out there, but it was no question, like, this is happening. Like, I'm standing out. Like that's just all there is to it. I'm approaching this with the same vigor as, like when we lined up on the gate, like, let's go.
Yeah. I don't know what you guys are getting, but I'm getting first.
I don't know about you, but personally, I'm all in, like, to a fault, all in,
Right. Uh-huh. Yep.
So,
do you find
and honestly,
people,
like, go ahead. Well, but I mean, being racing BMX and like jumping these big jumps and getting sent down a hill and like crashing and I mean, to me, it was like, I mean, there's no physical danger in being a psychologist, really. I mean, there is a bit depending on your clientele, but that wasn't my clientele, so to speak. But there really is no physical danger. And I mean, I had the benefit of learning how to trust myself, right? As a racer, right? Learning how to depend on myself, learning how to fight for something. Right. So not only in my own career did I apply that to the new career, but that's what I help people do, as a team. That's what I help people do in their sport. It's what I help people do in their life.
Have you found when people are making that transition from athlete or into retirement, there's a lot of similarities in there that you can play off of and work with?
When you say from athlete into
regular life, or the person that's retiring.
So here's my take on it, right? It's all regular life. That's the thing, like that, and that's also the problem, right? You hear people say it all the time, like when they come back from vacation, they're like, "Oh, back to reality." It's like, what was that?
That's
a dream?
Weird. That is weird to me too. Yeah.
Like you were in Miami. Were you not in Miami? Were you not in, like, at the lake house? Like, that's real. Like, that is your reality too. I understand it's not your daily, but that's within your range. Like, so if you can, like, back out, right? If you can back out and kind of like say, okay, this is my life, right? Yeah, you don't go on vacation every week. But if you string a few vacations every across the years, like, that's part of your normal, right?
Right.
And that's the thing. We think, right? Even me, right? being a world champion, right? It's a big deal. It is a big deal. And it's also normal. You see my point? Like from a mindset,
Yes.
like literally someone is giving away that title. All you have to do, if you choose to accept the challenge, is be there to accept it, right? So what does it take to be the guy or girl to accept their world champion medal that they're giving away? They're going to give it to you. They're going to place it around your neck. That's exactly what's going to happen. And that is normal. Because guess what? If it ain't you, it's going to be someone else.
Right.
Right? So that's normal. And unfortunately, failure's normal. And fortunately, owning a private jet's normal. Like it's all normal. It's all, if it's possible, to me, it's normal. Right? So one of my kind of mantras, one of my sayings is normalize to neutralize. Right? And once something becomes normal, then you can be less intimidated by it. Even retirement.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Once something becomes part of the journey, it's not necessarily an obstacle in your journey.
Right. Similar to when we were racing at speed, it was slow motion. Like you could look at it from the sidelines, you're going, whoa, those guys are going so fast. On the track, it's like, oh yeah, we're going fast, but it feels
beautiful.
Slow.
Beautiful. It's like, yeah, a lap that we raced was, we'll just call it 30 seconds, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
But you can spend weeks, months, years talking about one lap.
ABA Grands, Pro Cruiser, I can tell you every detail about the first straight.
Exactly.
When I won that race, I remember the first straight like it was, I could see it.
Like it was its own lifetime. Might have been a semester at college.
It was a 5 seconds to get to the first turn. I can tell a 2-hour story about it.
Exactly.
It's ridiculous.
Exactly. Someone once said to me, his name's Jesse Elder. He didn't say it to me. He said it to us because he was speaking to our group. And he said something like, your imagination is a memory of your future self. Right? Because the beauty about the human brain is, the beauty about humans is we actually can see a future for ourselves, right? Like, and not only that, not a future, like multiple possible futures.
Right.
Which is why we get scared because we're like, I don't want to fail, right? I don't want to fall off the cliff. I think this is a better investment, right? We see multiple possible futures for ourselves.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And the cool part is, remember I said back out. If we could look at our life span, right? We could say, all right, well, if we can imagine a thing for ourselves, world champion, father, homeowner, business owner, whatever it is you want, right? That imagination, right? It's kind of like, right, backing out. It's kind of like a memory of your future self, right? So I'm getting a bit philosophical.
It's pretty fascinating.
Big surprise, but from I don't know if that's exactly true, but if you can look at it from that perspective, right, then I think the ball's even more in your court to play.
It's similar to creating your own future, right? Or creating your existence, right?
Right.
Taking those steps to get there. I've had this conversation with Mike Mooney a little bit ago as well. Just doing the steps to create your future, which is pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
So you mentioned a book. I know you've written one, but you're talking about writing another one as well?
Yes. Yeah. So the first one, do I even have a copy of my own book?
I wish I had it here. I'd hold it up.
I don't know.
Oh wait, yes, right?
Wait, I'm gonna do something real quick, and they're gonna get a copy. Bam!
There it is. Look at
that. There
it
is. I like them apples. There you go. And yo, you want to check out branding? Same shirt.
Right.
Same shirt. So keep it on brand. Keep it on brand.
That's right. Same font, same everything.
It's intentional.
Yes.
So that's the first book, and BS stands for belief systems. And I that's with Dr. Irwin Rob Irwin was actually, I was actually his intern, and then we became business partners for a while. And I learned a great deal with him, and the belief matrix in that process is a process he and his father, was a board certified surgeon, created, to help people kind of deconstruct what the heck's getting in their way, like what negative belief they have that's getting in their way. And so we use that to help clients kind of unpack their bags and get rid of the stuff that's not needed to keep moving forward. The new book, though, it's all me. I'm giving it away, the digital copies at least, and then the print copies will just be, my cost plus whatever it is to ship. Sure. And the reason why I'm doing that is, one, I'm just, other than me just feeling compelled to do it, the reason for that is because this is based on my knowledge, observation, and experience in the world, right? Clearly, I will draw from what I learned as a psychologist, as a racer, and all this other stuff, but it's not going to be as I don't want to say formal. Yeah, it's not going to be as formal as the other one. Okay. So, I dare say manifesto-ish.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And it's called More, Better, Happier. Grow up and calm down, or calm down and grow up. Yeah. More, Better, Happier. Calm down and grow up. And in there, I'll get into some deeper stuff, right? I'll start to touch on more on, personal accountability / responsibility. I'll touch on how we view things, why we're wrong. I talk about, so I have these essential questions, right, that you want to ask yourself, right. Essential truths, like things that just are, because you're human and you live in the world, right? And really my hope for the book is not that you just, I don't want to give you hope. Like I'm kind of beyond that personally. Like I want you to develop, to have the muscle to derive your own hope for yourself and your loved ones after reading it. Like when you read it, I just want you blocks. I just want you to be like, yeah. That's the reaction I want every time you turn the page. It's just right. Like, yeah. Because I actually don't think I can tell you anything you don't know. Now, I might put it to you in a certain way, sure. But I think inherently, a lot of us know what it is we need to do.
Right.
Right. And by the time you close that book, I want you to go out and just do it. Like, stand on your own 2 feet and do it.
When is this book coming out?
ASAP. I really don't know. Like right now I've been, I would say it's probably 80% done.
Cool.
And the funny thing is it could be, it's just a matter of cleaning some things up and just getting honed in on it. And then the other piece is actually building it. It's not even that it's the writing, it's building it, right? Like just kind of, this chapter should go here, this should go over here, should look this way. So it is a product. I get that. So right. It's literally just the logistics of building it versus necessarily writing it.
Nice. Well, listen, I don't want to keep it much longer. You've got we could do this for a long time, and we should do some more of these. If someone needs to get a hold of you, wants to further their existence, how would they best get a hold of you?
Yeah, so that's very simple. So on Instagram, it's at Real Dr. J Rich. That's at RealDrJRich. Or my website, that's drjasonrichardson.com, drjasonrichardson.com. Send me a private message. I will get back to you. Promise.
Excellent. Well, Jason, it is been a pleasure having this time with you. We've done this for so many years. It's the conversations we've had just in general, we could have recorded all of those as well.
I know, and should have. Well. We're doing it now.
Yeah, exactly. We'll keep doing these, no doubt.
Yeah.
But thanks for your time, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
If you guys like what you're seeing, absolutely. If you guys like what you're seeing, please make sure that you subscribe here on YouTube. And if you want to listen to it, go to Apple Podcasts and subscribe there. Thanks for tuning in. You guys have a great day. Be good, Jason.
Thank you. All right.